Hey, what you're about to watch is an overview of how we serve moms all the way through from chaos to connection. The opening of this video is going to include some stories from some of our moms at BMA about what life was like before Brave Moms Academy. And then in the middle, what I've done is I've clipped a section from a group enrollment call that we did 4 months ago, and it's going to break down exactly how we help our moms. And then at the end, you're going to hear some beautiful stories about what to expect on the other side. I really can't wait for you to dig into this. You may want to grab a piece of paper and something to take notes with, but you can have this video for life to refer to later. I do want to correct one thing. When we talk about the program breakdown in this video, we mentioned that we have a group call, but we actually have at least 2 group calls a week. And really, it's kind of broken up into 3 over an hour long times where we can personalize everything that we're doing just for you. Quite literally, I am going to hold your hand. When your child is having a timeout and you've set a limit that was uncomfortable, we're going to be there for you. When you face down a lie that comes from a trauma you experienced as a child, we're going to be there for you. When you need to confront your mom-in-law because something's going on with your kids and you don't like the way that she's handling it and you're not being true to yourself, we're going to be there for you. So the important thing that we want you to know about the way all of this works is that we're going to be there for you. I hope you enjoy this. Take some time, absorb the wins, see if you see yourself in the before, and see if you can see yourself in the after. And please do get back to us after you watch. Can't wait. Team, would you mind sharing some of the highlights of what you wrote down?
Yeah, big something is going on. I'm sorry if you hear hammering in the background. Something is going on wrong here was, like I said, just me throwing my son in. I remember throwing him on the couch very aggressively and shaking him and screaming in his face. Um, that has happened a couple times, and that was yeah, that was my breakdown moment.
I came because of my oldest daughter. That's who I was having the most trouble with. And we had always butt heads since she was 1. But I kept telling myself she's going to mature and that things would get better. And it seemed like once she hit that like 8, 9-year-old age where she could maybe start to mature, things got worse. I just kept seeing it go downhill, downhill. And I just ran out. I just got so tired and was very hopeless.
I remember distinctly my 15-month-old sitting in his high chair and he would fuss and just cry, be whiny. And I could feel the tension in my body and that frustration. And I could not figure out why I was so frustrated when he would fuss or whine. And I knew if I did not get the tools I needed, I was going to grab him, yell at him, shake him, or slap him. And I did not want to go there. And I could not figure out why. Why did I feel so frustrated when he would whine? And I did get my answer, but that's where I was.
I was thinking as you were talking about another moment a really clear moment that I had was recognizing I was raising my son to like find his purpose and, do awesome stuff. Like I had dreams for him. And I was so scared to dream for my daughter because I thought that I was going to raise her to come be a bored, oppressed, shut down person in someone's house, like miserable. I was like, man, if I'm raising my daughters to do what I'm doing right now, I am failing them. It was so vivid. Like I'm sending her into some kind of Christian prison to be a wife and a mom. How is this what motherhood was supposed to be? Like this can't be right. And I couldn't even dream for her. I couldn't see past it. It was a big deal. That was another aha moment for me. I'm going to show you inside the course that we run, Brave Moms Academy. I'm going to share my screen with you and show you the process. And then we're going to talk about the results that we see and the way that lives change in here. Okay, let's go to intro week. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, you can see on the left side, these are just the channels where all of our content is hosted. So you can see that there's modules. They're called weeks, but they're actually modules. We started this as an 8-week program and found out that actually, like especially weeks 1 and 2 are pretty deep. And there's a lot to work through emotionally. They're pretty heavy hitters. So we keep our moms for 12 weeks. It's really a quarter of academy school. So they say weeks, but they're just modules. Right now we're in the intro module, and I'm just going to run through some of the topics that we talk through just so you can kind of see the roadmap. The content was actually built with a handful of women live. So we would teach something and then they would ask questions and we would know where to take them next. So we actually built the entire program based on moms who needed this transformation in order, in step with their transformation and their journey. So the first few weeks are really going to dismantle those toxic ways of relating, like controlling habits and people pleasing and walking on eggshells, not understanding where your emotional responsibility ends and someone else's starts. And then the weeks 3 through 8 are really about rebuilding a healthy way of operating in your emotions and in your mind, in your family and with your kids. And by weeks 3 and 4, we're getting into some actual skills for handing people back their problem and letting them walk through the things that they've chosen on their own and becoming that support person. And as we go, what happens is we're going to apply all of these communication skills. They're really just tools. And the way we say it is the tools reveal the truth. The tools are not the be all end all. They're just a healthy set of how to talk to your children while you go sort out what's going on with you. And it will actually force you to have the drivers that are making you operate the way that you're operating. They will come up to the surface and reveal themselves. So the lies that you're believing and the wounds that cause those lies are going to come to the surface when you interact with your kids in a healthy way, which is the way that we're going to teach you. So you're going to do it at first and not mean it. Does that make sense? You're going to practice something that you aren't connected to in your heart yet. And then all the icky stuff is going to come to the surface. The parts of you that does not want to be healthy are going to show up and say, hi, my name is Lie, and here's what I've been telling you. And then we get to deal with that hand in hand as a community. And then once that stuff comes up, you can either keep the tools for life and keep using them, or you'll come up with your own ways to communicate with your kids. The tools are not the purpose. The heart change that happens when you use the tools, that's the purpose. So in the intro week, which you're going to have access to just check it out and really make a solid decision about coming here, we're just going to open this up for you in the next day or so. Week 1 has a proper timeout. That's helpful. It has a mom timeout prayer guide, which is really a cornerstone of what we do. This is where we prayed through as a community together, releasing everybody else and their opinions and all of our fears and wounds to Jesus, and then hearing him speak about his delight in us for ourselves. This is so, so special. This is something he gave us. What's mine and what's not mine. This is about sorting out what to take responsibility for and what to let other people take responsibility for. Redemptive mothering. This is about how God gave us each of our kids actually to heal something inside of us. There's the big picture, like why we're doing this, where we're going. This is a skill, enforceable statements, how to take a timeout, how to tell your kids about it. Here's a talk on feelings, what they are, how to interpret them. Week 2 has to do with codependency and letting go of these toxic patterns and understanding where our kids are headed if we model this for them and they're formed this way. Fun and no fun is introduced, and the tool of choices for your kids is introduced to celebrate their freedom and direct them in that freedom instead of anarchy. We talk about emotional integration in this week. We talk about detoxing from using relationship to cope with what's going on inside. I'll just do a couple more. Week 3 is all about boundaries, and there's some fun talks about sibling rivalry, how to apologize, a real apology, not like, please let me get off the hook for what I did, but an actual restorative apology. We talk about the difference between punishment and manipulation instead of consequences. So punishment and manipulation being one category, proper outcomes and consequences, natural sowing and reaping being the other side. Week 4 is about identity and authority, which comes from knowing who we really are, having awesome self-control, more on boundaries. Okay, I'm just going to go through them because It's working. It's great. Just rattling them off. Week 5 is about the way that God views us. He doesn't need us. He adores us and he wants freedom for us, but he's not trying to get something from us. So we go through that. Letting God be God is a really cool moment I had with my son that changed my life. Talk about gratitude. Week 6 is about parenting from the wound. That's like overcompensating for the way that we were raised and how to undo that and be sure that we give them a healthy start, our kids. We talk about week 7, forgiveness, transactional manipulative relationship versus redemptive relationship. And week 8, listening, laughing, some talks on conflict, breaking the power of shame for good. And we go back and revisit the big picture, just kind of check in about how far you've come from week 1. Every week has homework that you'll turn in your small group. So you'll get to, as a team, tackle these tasks. There's a skill for every week that you're going to apply with your kids, and you're going to run it through your small group. And your interns are going to look at it, and a coach is going to look at it, and just make sure that you're using the skill the right way. And as you do that, the next week will open up. So we're really doing layer upon layer, precept upon precept. And then there's a section here for group calls. Most all of the group calls that we do are recorded and posted here. And we have a mom who's actually volunteered to library them out. So you can search for a topic in the future. You can search for a topic and find it in the group calls. Anything else, ladies, that you want to say about how the content works? Is that thorough enough? Did I get it? Okay. You will also be put in a cohort. It's a small group. We call it a cohort because we want to be a school. So it's not really a small group. It's a cohort. It's a learning cohort. And here they are. They're going to be renamed. There's a giant one called Brave Moms. Everybody's in here together. We just share encouraging stories and funny things and things we find. And in your small group, you will turn in your homework. Interns will check it off, and you just have a team there. That's where you can post questions all week long, and there's coaches in every one. So instead of waiting for a group call to ask your questions, you can come on Telegram day or night and say, here's what I'm dealing with right now. This is what's happening with my kid. Tell me how to apply this skill, or where am I missing it? And someone's going to ask you questions and work through it with you. And this is really what makes this whole thing work, is that we're going to walk with you hand in hand, specific to you and specific to each kid, because applying this has a ton of nuance. And really what we're after is the heart of the matter. So we're going to help you find the heart of the matter and apply the skill the right way. So you have that. You also have a coaching channel where you can ask questions about how you're using the program, or like real concerns that you have, or anything that's coming up that feels really personal. You can just talk to your coach. So I will be there, and another one of our coaches will be there in case you need that backup space. And it's just where we handle admin as well. So we'll set all of that up for you. Anything else that I need to go over about Telegram? I think that's it. So this is really where we walk with you daily. That's the purpose of this. This is, you get to be in here anytime of day, and we all love it so much. This is really where the community happens. And then once a week, we do a Zoom call where we share our wins and celebrate each other and just get the pulse on what's going on. Usually one of us shares something that the Lord has been teaching us. And then you'll break out into small groups and just get to know each other better and have a good time. And then we have at least an hour for Q&A. So anything that's coming up about the way that you're applying this will be face-to-face just like this, and talk through it. So that's where you'll have direct coaching on exactly how to implement all these things with your kids. And it's such a beautiful, encouraging time, because people who are behind you in the process, something huge will come up for them and you'll be able to say, I see you. I totally get it. I remember being there. And then people who are ahead of you, you'll be like, whoa, she just got this massive breakthrough, and I think I have that in me, and you'll get to get it sooner. So it's really just so beautiful. And if you can't make it, then those are recorded, like I said. We especially try to make sure that we get those to moms who wanted to be there and couldn't be there. So those are on Mondays, 10 to 12 Pacific time. Let's see, is there anything else? It's 12 weeks long. Did I mention that? This is like a quarter of school. And anybody who needs to stay, we make a way for them to stay. And anyone who graduates, who actually works the whole program and wants to stay on and keep getting coaching and keep studying, is invited to serve the community and just stay on for no charge. Just serve the community and keep getting coached. We have a bunch of those. Those are our interns, and that's really the heart and soul of what we do. We can bring on more moms because we have those moms who just continue to grow. So it really becomes a beautiful discipleship process. Okay. I'm going to unshare, I think. Oh, I wanted to show you two things. Let's talk about what happens after, but I think I'll just do it on my phone here. I wanted to show you two pictures, and then I want to hear our moms. Sorry, I realize we're going a little bit over time. Are you guys okay for a few minutes? Okay, awesome. Kira, can you tell us what's going on in this picture? So I want to talk about what happens when moms are through, or even halfway through the program.
Yeah, so that is a picture of my son. He is kneeling down, worshiping. And that's the son that I used to throw and scream at. And so that was just like a couple weeks ago, or maybe even 1 week ago. So that is just like a nutshell of everything that is Jesus is doing in our home. And we're just still working through the healing process, but that was just so cool to see him kneeling and worshiping that morning. I would have never thought.
Oh, cool. It's so cool. I'm like, this is why we came. This is so epic. Okay. Did you ask him to kneel and worship? He just like heard the music and got on his face.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Cool. Okay, this is another one from one of our sweet mamas, Nina. Nina and Kaylee have had a history of butting heads like crazy. And she wrote this the other day. Kaylee was begging for a foot soak tonight. At first I didn't feel like it, but then I thought, what better way to display servanthood than to show my daughter I'm willing to stoop and wash her feet. I did hers first, and then she wanted to do mine. And so here is Kaylee washing her mom's feet. Like, that's so crazy. So this is some of what happens. I can share a little bit of my own family. My son the other day was acting controlling and frustrated and angry at people. And I reported to him multiple times that we're going to be fun and operate as a team out here. And it seems like there's something else going on that has nothing to do with the girls right now. Can you please go to your room and think about that? And he came out with a list of lies that he's believing about himself and rebuked them with me on the couch. And we're going to do some more prayer on it this week. But this is just what it's like now. My kids take responsibility for how they're feeling and what's going on. They know that when their buttons are pushed, that it's them and not the other guy. And we know as a family how each of them express that and what to look for. And they will totally take themselves to their room and then come out and say, Mom, Jesus showed me that I was believing that I wasn't important to anybody. And now I know that's why I was doing that to Sissy. And then he'll go make it right with her. And then they get along and play. And even my 4-year-old, she's almost 5. We've had huge conversations this week about things that she's been through and how she has felt about it. And her recognizing ways that she was pretending or lying with her siblings, especially around her dad, who she gets away with it with. She went and told her dad this week, to build trust with her siblings. She told her dad, without me there, that she's been hiding her bad behavior behind his back and making it look like things were their fault. And it was her. She went and confessed that to her dad this week. And it mended relationship with her big siblings. And this week they've been playing really well. They were just in a fight a little bit ago, but this is it. Like, it's not perfect and it's not done, but we have the language and we have the groundwork to work through what's whose and whose is what's, and they own their stuff, and all of their relationships are always in that honest place. Yeah, the storms are going to keep coming. Life is going to keep happening. Yeah. And there's stuff, you guys can speak to this too, the team. There's things in my kids' history that need to come up and be dealt with. We are not put together. We've had a crazy life. There's a lot of trauma and a lot of abuse in their past. So Things are always coming up, but God allows it. It's so beautiful to watch how it comes up when there's margin for it. And he's called me to disciple them, and he has perfectly equipped each of us as their parents when we apply his truth, that we are exactly what they need, that God, we're the vessel God picked to move through. You can totally do this. Okay. Can you guys share a moment that you have had where you were like, oh, it's working with your kids? Kira, Alyssa, Jermaine, where something, the fruit, share me a piece of fruit. I'm saying this terribly. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying.
I actually feel prompted to share this. This has been on my mind. So this just happened last night, and I haven't like worked through it all. So come back Monday because I'll tell you what happens. So last night my daughter wanted to stay up late with her sister, but she had to get up early for gymnastics this morning. And last time I woke her up, she was cranky, didn't want to get out of bed, and was complaining about all these things. And I did not want to deal with that. So I was frustrated already about her request to stay up late. And when she came and tried to talk me into like extra time and before she went to bed, I said, okay, but last time you did that, here's what happened, and I'm not going to do that. And then instead of just like stopping, I continued to say, and if you're going to be cranky and not get out of bed, then you're going to miss practice. And if you miss practice, your coaches are going to be upset. And then maybe you won't be on the team anymore. Like I just bleh. And she stopped and she turned around and she looked at me. She's like, Mom, when you say those things to me, you're just making me feel bad. And I don't like it when you make me feel bad. And it was so calm and honest. It just made me stop. Like, she's right. I'm like, okay. I said, you're right. And then I told her, you know, she can make the decision to stay up late. But I plan on having a conversation with her later to tell her to own what I did and tell her that I'm sorry how it made her feel and to tell her how proud I am of her of being calm and being honest with me and how grateful I am that she feels like she can tell me that how she's feeling. So I'm excited to talk to her about that, and I'll let you know how it goes. And before, I should say before, she probably wouldn't have said that. Like she would have walked away and been upset and not have told me how she felt. And then there just would have been this tension and this disconnect between us. And having not gone through all this work, I would have just been thinking, well, I didn't do anything wrong. You know, what's her problem? Kind of thing. So it's definitely a better situation than it was before.
Ah, that's so cool. I love that example because it's not just about like the beautiful glory. It has your imperfections in it and her honesty. Ah, that's so cool. Alyssa, that was rad. Kira?
I'll share one actually just happened about an hour ago because those are the ones I can remember, you know, recently. um, but we were on a walk and I had my 1-year-old in the wagon. I had him strapped in, and then my 7-year-old, the one who was worshiping, was sitting in the wagon with him. And he loves his little brother so much, so he unbuckled him. He wanted to hold him and hug him, but then later on, the 1-year-old wanted to like jump out of the wagon as I'm walking. So I stopped. I said, I will continue to walk as soon as Scotty's the little one is buckled back into the wagon. So I sat down and I'm just waiting, and my 7-year-old's starting to get frustrated because it's difficult to put a 1-year-old into his strap. And so then this is where I can see it working because I was calm and I was like, he chose to unstrap him, and that's not my problem. And I'm going to sit here and he's going to be frustrated, but that's what he sows because that's what he was reaping. Um, and then I just looked over, and this is where the compassion part in me has been lacking, but I noticed it and I said, hey, it looks like you're super frustrated right now. Do you need a hug? And then he came give me a hug. And after he gave me a hug, he started buckling him up and we just kept going. So there was like no screaming, no yelling. It was just calm. He understood that he chose to unbuckle him. That was the wrong choice. And I was able to be there and walk him through it and give him a hug and say, like, yeah, that's frustrating. That was a big win because compassion has been something that has been trying to grow in my heart for a long time. So Jesus just told me, like, hey, give him a hug right now. So That was just recently.
Woo! An hour. That's fresh. That was awesome.
Fresh.
Yes. Mama Jermaine.
I'm thinking of a couple of things. So the high chair and my son being whiny or frustrated. And I would get frustrated. So when Katie was talking about us being the right parent for our kids and our kids bringing up wounds in us that needs to be healed, I was able to walk through that and see that it was actually a root in my childhood. That's where the frustration came from. So today, when he does that, I still feel that because my body's used to go into that response. It's getting better. But when I feel that come up, I can now stop and say, it's okay. He's just having a feeling. And I can help him name his feeling and just let him have his feeling. And it does not derail me anymore. So I also never saw this until I came on board here. I had some trauma to process through with my son's birth. And that was huge for me. I was able to process through that here pretty early on in my walk. And then the other big gain that we've had is because me and my husband are in a good place, we're able to parent together. So we're actually using these tools and we're a unified team in our parenting. Our son is getting the same message from both of us, and I can see now in how he responds to us, how that is such a big win. So that is just some wins on my side. Yeah.
It's radical. It's so cool to watch. I want to say the other thing that's probably my favorite thing that has happened in my home and my life is that I get the rest that I need. I just be like, hey, people, I'm super tired. And if I engage with you this way right now, I am not going to be fun to be with. So I'm going to go get the rest that I need. And if that's interrupted, my kids know what that means. We do housework as a team. Like everybody has their jobs and they talk about like swapping jobs and they work it out. There's no argument about whether or not they're going to be responsible for pulling their weight in the things we all enjoy together. Like meals and a living room and a movie night and the dishes. Like we do everything as a team. This is not one woman bearing the brunt of the world so that everybody can live and enjoy all of the benefits that we enjoy. We do all of that together. And my kids feel super proud of themselves when they contribute. Like they know that they are a significant piece of this family and they each pull their weight, and it's so fun. My littlest was kind of raised that way. So she just goes, okay, Mom, what's my job? Where, you know, when the other ones were 3 and 4, I had to explain to them that they were going to have a job now, and we would do the first round together. And then they got strong in that way, but they argued. But my little one doesn't even, she's never argued about it because that's our culture. Everybody does their jobs. Everybody pulls their weight. And so she'll just ask, what can I do? And then she'll get done with something. She'll say, okay, what can I do next? It is so wonderful. My son started a lawn mowing business and he's making $100 on Friday to go do a bunch of lawns in our community. And then one of the guys was like, hey, I want to make Elijah business cards. Can you tell me what information? He's a sign maker. And one of the guys whose lawn he's going to go mow wants to make him a business card. So God just really starts to move when kids step into who they are and apply the truth for them. Then God adds to their lives in the same way he adds to our lives. Like there's no junior Holy Spirit. It's so crazy to watch.